Alright. So whenever I have to create a Spring Boot project, then we'll start with start.spring.io. Okay, I think someone is using. Okay, now it's good. Otherwise, I was getting my own voice. Alright. So this is the website which we are going to use to create the skeleton for our Spring Boot projects. Cool. Over here, we need to check which the configuration that we want to use. We are over here using the Java language. So in the language, default is also Java, right? And in the project build tool, we will use in the entire project, in the entire course, we are going to use the Maven. So the prerequisite would be IntelliJ, Java 8 and more, 8 and above, and Maven. Cool. These three are the prerequisite of the course. And these softwares needs to be installed in your system as well. Now the group ID will be the path ID. It's usually com dot then company name. We can just say Smart Code Studio SCS, right? And then let's say that this is greeting service. All right. So we can leave it on the SCS, and then over here I can do the greeting, right? So this is the package name that it will create by its own, right? It will join the group name and artifact name, and this is the package that will be provided to us later on. And description, no need to mention. Packaging, we can use anything. Jar and var both are fine with us right now. So the defaults we will choose with 17 along with the packaging jar. In the dependencies, the most important dependencies that we will see and we will use would be Spring Web, right? And then Lombok is normal dependency that is used just to make sure we don't write boilerplate code. And the Hibernate, we are not going to use all these things. This is to talk with the database. So these three are the services that we are going to use right now. And what we are going to do now. Okay, just give me 1 second. No bad. Then we will just. Oh shit. Everything. Okay, if I go back, alright, cool. My bad. Just give me 1 second. Now it's great. So again, need to type. Okay. Smart Code Studios. Then greeting. Alright. Not required. Then we can just say MVC Spring Web, that would be the Spring Web, and Lombok. Alright, enough. Then I will generate and a project folder will be created for me, right? Okay. Now I have to go on this project folder. Then on double clicking, okay, let me just copy it and move to some other folder. Okay, ls. Okay, cd patch ls. Okay, Springboot 2024, and then October. Oh, my bad. Springboot 2024 OCD. Then cd open. Okay, it's not 2023, my 2024 SB 2024 opt cd SB 2024 opt open cd 2024 opt does not exist. mkdir was successful. How is it possible? Alright. Okay, greeting.zip over here. Now, cool. We can delete the zip folder. Alright. Now, what I'm going to do is I will open my open my this IntelliJ, click on open, and then I will go to the place where I have saved my project, batch is SV 2024. This thing I can delete, and over here is greeting. I have to click on POM file. POM file is the one which is responsible for building when we are using the Maven. Alright, so we have to open the POM file, right? And when this is a file, right? So we can open it as a file and we can open it as a project. So right now we have to open it as a project, right? Okay, so what we are going to do now, we will make sure that we build it, right? So mvn clean install -d will skip the test, and you will force update all the dependency that it needs to install. You can do mvn clean install as well right now for the initial phase. No need to use -d skip test or -u. Alright, so we have built the product already. And Maven, I will reload the project just to make sure it is up to date. See, when we have created the project over here, so we have used com css greeting, right? And it mentioned that the package name will be com scs and greeting, right? So see over here, so the skeleton has been made by com scs and greeting, right? And the name, the greeting I have provided, right? So the greeting application, it has provided the default name of greeting application, right? And like in the Java, we know that all the Java, in Java, whether a single, okay, I'm getting a call. Just give me a minute, I'll be back. I'm pausing the recording right now. It was clear, right, before what we have done till now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now, as you already know in the Java, whether it's a single class or even a complete microservice, we have to start with the main, right? Because the main thread group will have a main thread which will run the main method. So we will start from here, right? Now the beauty of Springboot is we have not even mentioned that we require a server, right? But still
Share.
we have a Tomcat,
You're,
right?
you're
Mm.
sharing, Abhishek. You're not sharing.
Okay, my screen is not shared. Okay, wait a minute. Oh yes. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen again. Cool. Let me start the server again. Whether it's a single Java function method or a entire Spring Boot microservice, we have to start with our main method, right? So we'll run the main method. Now the beauty of the Spring Boot is we haven't mentioned that we want a server, right? But still we do have Tomcat, right? We haven't mentioned anything, right? Like port number, but still we have a port number, right? And there are a lot of different stuff also that's over there. We are not diving deep into that, otherwise it's going to take a lot of time. So now I will try to create a single hello app, and Paramita, I guess we have already done that, right?
Hmm?
We have already done that, right? Creating a hello controller or greeting controller. In the last session we have completed the hello controller. When
Last session,
come again.
no, like we started together only, na?
Yes, I mean not completed, but we have seen how it works, right?
Okay, okay.
Controller services, right? These all things we have done. So there will be greeting controller. We will see in the later sessions what is a controller and how it works, what all this annotation works, and how it works, why it works, why annotation. Everything we are going to cover in the later part, right? Greet. And then I want to create a REST microservice, so it will be a REST controller. Then public string greet user, and I name username, request param string, and it would be username, and I just want to return hello and then username. Okay, and I want to make it as a get call. There are 7 http verbs. out of which one is get. Cool. So this is how what we have created till now. The service layer we haven't created anything. We can even remove it. So again, if I run this microservice, and now if at the localhost 8080 port, if I use greet and user, okay, I need a browser. Okay, cool. This would be a browser, localhost, localhost 8080. Okay, greet user. Okay, username. It is username. My bad. Username. Okay, why it's not working? Greet user and username equals to Ashok. All right.
Username, that is N is small caps and your is small.
Mm, okay. It's not working. It's saying that it is in the
Mm.
okay. Cannot resolve the parameter username. Why? Why parameter username? It's same as the username. Why? In this request has been intercepted. String is not present.
Username is not.
Username Ashok. Right. It's not making
Your,
sense. Let me just restart the server.
username is also coming as small only.
Okay, this thing is not making sense. Username for a method parameter type
Uh,
string.
it is taking small only. I think so.
No. It
Usually,
okay,
double
okay.
quotes are required around it.
No, not double quotes. Double quotes is never required. Okay, cool.
Huh.
Over here is the name that I
It was
think
not
earlier.
taking actually.
I
You were
think
typing.
post earlier it was required small case, and then I have edited it.
Mm.
Okay, cool. So no worries. So and also one thing, the data over here, right? The key value
Mm.
pairs. This is request parameters, right? It never will go like this, right? Because the data gets encoded. So that's why you will never have to write need to specify the string in different format, right? You can pass it any like anywhere, right? And even you can pass it this also, right? So over here it will throw an error, and the reason is different. Right now I'm not going to discuss this. And even with the Spring Boot, the data that we are sending over here, right, this thing, the data will get encoded while we pass it. Before sending this data, abhi at the rate, right, this at the rate will not go to the backend like at the rate, it will get encoded. So that's why this is not allowed, right? This 26 hello and ampersand, right? And I have passed percentage 26, right? So this
Hmm?
thing, I have passed percentage 26, right? I mean modulus 26, and it has converted into ampersand, right? So
Why?
whether I send like this or I send like this, now it haven't sent, right? Because ampersand is represented, is used in the request parameter to divide abhi, and if I have to send some other thing like
Okay, okay.
age equals to 120. So this ampersand is being used to differentiate between key value pairs. This is key, this is value, this is key, this is value. So
Okay.
ampersand you cannot directly use, right? If you have to use the ampersand, then what you need to do, modulus 26, right? I mean these are the things that you don't need to remember. It will, if you work, then you will know it on your own, right? So like this, then it's not like only percentage 26 will be there, right? 27, 28, 27 is single quote, right?
That's
Now you can see there are, these are the special characters, right? If you try to pass this directly, I mean this is not the class that we are going to see. I'm sending this, right? And I will send this, right? Whether I'll send this or whether I send this directly, or I'll send modulus 27. my bad my
ampersand.
bad my bad, it's
No,
wrong
it's
dollar,
modulus. Modulus. No, you said dollar.
right? Oh my bad, 28 it is, right? 28, 28, whether I send 28
Mm.
or I send this. In the backend, it will be encoded and sent as modular 28 only. And when the server receives it, it will decode it first. So that's how the thing goes. All right. So that's why we don't need is a double inverted comma, because the thing, the whatever the data we are sending, it will be encoded and then transmitted, and whenever it will be received over here, it will it will try to convert it into a string. If it's not able to convert it into a string, then there will be an error. Like if I try to pass this thing, right?
Okay, you meant to say by default it is being sent as a string actually.
Yes, and it can be converted. I mean, you don't have to mention it as a string, right? It will be serialized. Whatever way it is written, it will be serialized. And then over here, we will try to convert it. Whatever data we are getting as a serialized will be 010101, right? 01, what what is how the string for Java? It's a string, right? When you're talking into Java, then you are saying that it's a string, right? If you pass string a, it's very basic, right? Very basic. If I say this ABC, cool, string name ABC. So this is for us ABC, right? Internally Java, I mean any computer language don't represent this like in this way, right? For systems it like this, right?
Hmm.
It will be something like this.
Yes.
And you will mention the system, okay, this is the string. So please convert it eventually to a username, right? In the your RAM it will be saved as this, and you wanted to convert it to a username, which would be ABC, right? So in when you send it into the network, it will be sent like this only. And over here you will mention that, okay, when you are passing something over here which will be a string, that could be ABC will be converted into the bytes, right, in the binary format, and that binary format you will try to convert into string. If it's possible, then cool, otherwise there will be an error. All right.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so ABCD. These are the basic things that if you don't know, you will learn while doing the task, right? The tester will kill you eventually, if because tester people in the testing team, they try different things, right? Over here they try to pass something, and even percentage 26 is not allowed when you use the Spring Boot, or sorry, Spring Security. All right. So cool. So the thing is, we have done this thing, right? And we have seen that, okay, this is how we are going to create a microservice, and if we try to write something, it will happen, right? But now the thing is, what is the REST controller over here? What is the request mapping over here, right? We need to know this, right? Okay, no. This is the second thing controller. We will see about this thing first. One is Spring Boot application.
Hello?
Okay, someone is driving. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
you are
Abhishek.
audible.
Okay, some sound of motorbike was there a little while ago.
Yes.
Okay, Paramita, you are watching reels?
No, no.
Okay, cool. There was some motorbike sound, right? You heard that too, right?
Yes, yes. Some noises was coming actually.
All right, cool. So see, this is the very first class that you will see in your entire application, right? This Spring Boot annotation, like we cannot work with Java without public static void main. Similarly, we cannot work with Spring Boot without a Spring Boot annotation. All right, cool.
Okay.
So that means
Okay.
we need to know what is this Spring Boot annotation, right? Annotation. I mean, this annotation. What is this? At the rate Spring Boot annotation. We need to know regarding this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, what exactly is this Spring Boot annotation, and how it works, and how this entire thing working? Like this is the few lines that we have not generated, right? This was auto generated by start.spring.io, which is the site or the okay, to generate the Spring Boot application, we need to go
We take help.
whether we'll use
We take help
whether
from the
whether
Spring.io.
yes, whether we are going to start create a project here, right? From the project structure we are going to create it. Otherwise, STS tool, I mean different ID we can use to create the structure. Otherwise, what will happen, because nobody is going to create this, right? SRC and this thing, nobody creates this in today's era. Either we will go to the start.spring.io. What's the benefit of going to the start.spring.io? That right now, if we are here in the start.spring.io, now we know, right, that Spring version 3.3.5 is the most stable version, right? And everyone else has been obsolete. If you don't know do this, then your data won't be updated, right? So it's always better to come here again and again, right? Because Java 8 is not acceptable, right? It starts from Java 17. So these things we need
Yes.
to know. So it's
Okay.
always better to go over there, right? First thing, because the thing is, as we move further in the course, then we will see that there are a lot of things that Spring Boot is doing on its own. Like over here, the server, right? The server name, it has been put on its own, right? 8080. We haven't mentioned anywhere, right?
Yeah.
8080 we haven't mentioned anywhere, but it is 8080, right?
So we only added that Spring Web part in that Spring.io, no?
Come again?
We only added that web part.
Yes, it's a part of web. If I don't
Hmm.
add web, then
Hmm.
okay, let me,
Hmm.
okay.
Then the Tomcat will
see
not come, no?
see I think, whether you are
Hmm.
aware or not, this is the Spring Boot web, right? But
Yes, yes,
there
yes.
is, I
This is
mean, this is
already.
the file only, right? If we'll try to search it,
Hmm.
you will find Tomcat nowhere inside it, right? But start.spring.web, if you go inside it, now you will see
Then we
Apache
don't
license,
get.
right? Version over here.
Ah.
And now if you see over here, you will see Spring Boot starter Tomcat, right?
Hmm.
And if you go inside it, then you will see that okay, it will have Tomcat, right? Eventually you will see the Tomcat, and this is the
Hmm.
Tomcat, right? Embedded Tomcat we have of the version
Yes.
10.1.31, right?
3 4. Yeah, 3 1.
So
Huh?
this is how we get it. We just take the starter, because it's not a single
Hmm.
dependency, it's a starter package. It will have inside a lot of stuffs. Similarly with the Hibernate, we are not going to get only Hibernate. We are going to get connect for tools for connection pooling, at that too auto embedded and auto run. It's not like we have to start it as well. We don't have to configure, we don't have to start, everything will be on its own. So of course Spring Boot takes a lot of steps, or do a lot of steps on its own. We need to make sure all their dependencies works fine with each other, right? Because this version, if this version of a Spring Boot 3.3.5, if you try to run with the Java 8, there might be some features that will not work properly. Then you have to
Hmm.
Google all the stuffs. So that's why it's always better to come and check, and at least create the skeleton from the start.spring.io. It will make sure that you will not face something that you have to Google it again and check on the different Stack Overflow or some other websites, right? Because
Okay. Okay.
there
Got
is
it.
a
Yeah.
lot of configuration that has been done in the Spring Boot, and the terminology that I've used is a part of this, right? We will see. I mean, right now we are not going to cover all the terminologies, but the thing is, the question is, I mean, over here, if you'll see, this is auto generated class, right? So the only two questions that can be created out of this, I mean, a lot of questions can be created, but the very basic ones are, what is Spring Boot annotation, right? And what is this, right? Why are we are doing Spring application dot run, and what is this
Hmm.
greeting that application is the same class, right? Same class name we are passing, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
we need to know about this class, and we need to know about the Spring Boot annotation, right? So the Spring Boot annotation is a combination of multiple annotation of the Spring. We haven't covered the Spring right now. So from here we are going to start from the next session. We will start from the Spring core. So, but it is a combination of different annotation, which is a part of the Spring core itself. So one is configuration. So one is configuration, and in the configuration, all the things that has been done right over here, it is done automatically. Or the searching, the configuration makes this file, this class, I mean, we'll see later on what it does. Earlier we used to create a XML file to make the configuration, or to make the beans or create the beans. So if I use at the rate configuration, that it will work in the similar manner. So instead of creating a XML file, I can work or create beans, or create my configurations in a Java class itself. But if I have to use it, I need to make sure that my class is the configuration. So Spring Boot annotation is a combination of multiple annotations, and one of which is configuration. So this class, so Spring Boot annotation make this class a configuration file. Okay. First thing, we'll see later on what is a configuration in the later session. Right now we are just learning, getting to know that what different annotation it comprises of, right? Another one is component scan. So what Spring Boot does, what Java, I mean Spring Boot, Spring Core especially, what it does, it provides a very strong feature, or it's dependency injection, right? So entire Spring Boot is famous because of multiple things. One of this is IOC container, and most powerful concept of the Spring Boot is dependency injection, right? You must have already heard of, right? At the rate AutoWire. So
Mm-hmm.
that auto
Yes.
wiring is possible. I mean, you want, what is an auto wiring, right? Auto wiring is simply if I write a variable over here, private, and if I say that okay, DAO something or service, let's say user service object I require, right? User service. We don't have a user service right now, so let's say that greeting. Okay, we have a control, right? So greeting controller, we can take greeting controller over here. So greeting controller and greeting controller, right? So I haven't created an object, right? But I don't have to if I just auto wire. So object will be created and injected on its own. So this thing is auto wiring. We will see it in later on. It is possible by many things, and auto wiring along with the overriding. This two combination, auto wiring or dependency injection, along with the method override, not method overriding, overriding, along with the overriding, becomes or makes it way powerful, right? Way too powerful. We'll see how it usually happens. So that's why overriding is the most important concept in the core Java, and that's how the OOPS language has taken over entire other language paddings, right? It has beaten entirely. So OOPS language works in the entire backend environment till now. From when it has been introduced, the main core reason earlier was, one of the core reason was overriding. Okay. So along with overriding, if we have dependency injection, then it becomes like a Superman, right? No one can beat it. That's why in the backend, you will not even find a single other application running apart from if it's written in Java, right? Entire backend is in Java. More than 90% of the microservices that is running right now is in Java. And out of those 90%, if the company is not obsolete or not working on obsolete tools and techniques, then everything is being written in Spring Boot. Spring Boot has taken over other frameworks as well. Right now, you will not find any acceptable framework other than the Spring Boot in Java also. Cool. So this auto wiring helped it a lot, right? The combination of overriding along with the dependency injection made it super powerful. So to make sure that okay, so I want an object, right, before injecting it. I don't want to create equals to new, right, over here. I don't have to do this creating controller. So what will happen if I don't want to do this and I want some object to be created and inserted, then I need to save that object somewhere, right? So that software creation of that object and that injection of that object, how I will going to identify that object, everything going to be covered in the Spring Core part. So but the complete auto wiring flow needs component scan as well to find which object it needs to create. So it's a combination of that as well. Spring Boot is a combination of then component scan as well. So again, and what else it consists of? Enable auto configuration. Enable auto configuration is something due to which we get the Tomcat 8080 over here without even mentioning about it. What it does, it's read the perform file, and whatever dependency it finds, it just run it independently. If I provide any variables to help it, I mean to configure it, then it's completely fine. If I don't provide anything, then it will auto configure by default. Like for the Tomcat, it's 8080, right? Because I haven't provided any configuration, right? But if I say that server.port, I don't want it 8080, make it 8444. If I close it and then if I run it, now you will see the port is started on 8444, right? Is it visible over here?
Yes.
Okay, let
Usually.
me just check whether the recording is going out or not. Okay, it's recording. Okay, cool. So 88444 is there. So cost earlier I haven't provided any configuration, right? So it started on default. It's not like it's working with only this thing, right? It will work with different. Okay, greet and user, right? And the name and parameter. Parameter name is greet and user. Okay, username, user and username. Okay, hello parameter, right? It started on 8444, right? Instead of
Hmm.
8080. So because I haven't provided this, same thing will goes with the database, right? If I mention that I'm going to use the Postgres and I don't provide any configuration, so it will take the default port number, default
80.
everything. It will be not empty. It will be 5432. For Tomcat, it's 8080. For I mean every single software has a default port number, right? Like Tomcat, it's 8080. For Postgres,
Hmm.
it's 5432. So
That's
like
right.
Redis, from cache solutions to the queue solutions, every solution, every software has a there has their unique port. So it will choose that only. Cool. If you
Um,
if you if you try to insert the MySQL, whatever will be the default MySQL port, it will choose it by its own. You don't even have to know about it. Cool. And you can change it if you want to. You can just convert the property file and you can change it. Any
Acha,
questions?
Abhishek,
Yes.
here, one minute. We give the name of the package as com.s. No, no, in that project metadata in spring.io, we gave the name as greeting. So that's why it is greeting application here.
We have given name as.
Greeting, no, that
Okay, okay, okay. See, I don't know whether it's here or not.
is
The
here,
greeting
here.
is here, right?
Hmm.
I can
So
make
that's
it.
why it is coming as greeting
Yes,
application,
yes,
or for
yes, yes, yes.
any
I mean,
project is coming up.
it's of no use. We just use it just to print which service is up, right, and which
Yeah.
version is up. If we don't even write this, it has nothing to do with it, right?
No, not here, not here. In the project part, here, in the
Here,
left. Here is the greeting application, right? One.
greeting application. Okay, greeting application. Oh,
Yes.
this.
Huh.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, this
Okay,
auto
over here
generate.
it's coming because I have named artifact, right?
Yes.
And the application is also greeting, right? So the name
Yeah.
greeting,
So
that's why that is greeting.
okay.
Group name will be common in
Convert.cs.
everywhere, right? And the
Hmm.
name of your artifact will this
Hmm.
the combination of this and this will be your
Your
package
package
name,
name.
and the name will come here, right?
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Okay, and then all right. So these three things I have mentioned, right? The Spring Boot annotation is, but why you will agree with me, right? So you can directly go inside it, right? No need to Google and all those things. Just go inside the Spring Boot annotations. Right now we are looking at the decompiled file of the annotation, Spring Boot annotation, right? So what I have mentioned that it is a combination of configuration, component scan, and enable auto configuration, right? So we'll just go inside it and check. Okay, the first thing we'll see about the configuration, whether it has some configuration or not. So configuration, you will see Spring Boot configuration, right?
Hmm.
So we can go inside it also, then we can see over here configuration. Got it?
Yes. The first one.
Come again?
The first one, not the configuration part, and then.
Yes, I mean I mentioned, right, it's a
Yes, yes.
combination of these three. So then another one is component scan, right? So let's go inside it again and try to find the component scan. We get this component scan, right? And
Hmm.
exclude filters, those things we will see in the later sessions. What is why it's here and why it's not, I mean what it means, right? But it do component scan, right? And as you already see, there are some filters that will apply to the component scan. So it's not the fully functional component scan. It has some features. I mean filters, right? So we'll see what filters we have on the component scan notation. Then enable auto configuration, right? Enable auto configuration is right there itself, right?
Hmm.
So basically, it's a combination of these three. What does it mean? It means that this file will be treated as a configuration file for the Spring Boot application, right? First thing, you don't have to write the configuration with the Spring Boot application. It will be you can do it over here as well, right? No need to write the XML part. Earlier we used to write in the XML. Now we don't write in the XML. I mean, from now I mean, so after 2015 and 16. And the component scan, it tries to find the beans. Don't take any load. What is bean? What's not a bean? But it just need to scan the filter folders or packages. That where I need to go to scan to find the beans. So that's the component scan, right? As soon as you run this class, the components or the beans, I mean the IOC container will try to find beans and create an object of it whenever they find the bean. Enable auto configuration, the thing that we have already seen, right? If we have some software in our system and we don't have configurations for it, so it will auto configure it, right, by with the defaults. Cool.
Oh,
And then comes a lot of stuff, right? What is IOC consent container, from where it comes, right? We are not seeing any IOC container. Even the people in my company, we were having conversation regarding this, and they were like, okay, we don't have to create the IOC container because no IOC container is, we are not able to see IOC container, right? But the thing is, it's not like, I mean, and they are like they are having 9 to 10 years of experience, and their package is exactly same as mine, a little less, but not very less, right? In near context, it's almost same. So if you come inside it and don't even know that somewhere down the line there will be see the auto configuration components can it will be taken care by IOC container itself, right? So it is not possible for us to run the Spring application without the IOC container. And we can see, right, that we are running only this lines, right? Then to our system is up, right? I can delete this controller, then to my system will run, right? And the Spring Boot application will be up. So that means over here somewhere down the line, in this single line number 12, there must be somewhere down the road a IOC container, right? Or at least we are starting the IOC container, right? So if I'll see this run class, so it's sending me the configurable application context, right? And this is a child class of application context. And what is the application context? It's the damn IOC container. Cool.
Okay, okay, okay.
All right. So see, if we run it, right? So what I can do, we will do it in the later session also, right? And if I we will see in the next session, I'm going to end the session right now because Ashok is also not here, so I'm not going to cover a lot of stuffs. So I can get directly bean from here, right? Which will be done automatically if at the rate component scan is done. This thing will be happening behind the scenes. Cool. So next class, what we are going to cover, we'll start with the Spring Core. What is the IOC container? Why it's powerful? How it do, and eventually we need to learn the internals of at the rate autowire, right? How internally it's working, right? That's exactly what we need to understand, because otherwise Spring Core is just auto wiring only, management of the beans, how bean is created, how bean is covered, destroyed, right? Those things we need to know. Then, and just to understand the Spring auto wire, we need to understand the scope of a bean. That would be the very first thing, and the question comes from here only. If you Google questions of a Spring Boot, most of the Spring Boot questions revolves around at the rate autowire only. People don't understand this. Scope of the bean. What is a singleton bean scope, right? What is a prototype bean scope? What is a session bean scope? Or what is a session? What is a prototype in the scope of a bean? So everything is a part of working in the at the rate autowire only. Then this was the scope, right? And then there are multiple scopes. Request scope can be there, session scope can be there. We will see from application to socket scope. We are going to cover all those things. Then what is an application context? How can I get the the beans from the application context? What will happen if I have multiple beans? What will happen if I have a beans with the same name? So, and which factory method it will use internally to create the beans? So, and how the auto wiring will work, how many types of auto wiring is there, and if I want to auto wire, there are different ways to do it: constructor, getter, setter, right? Field injection, how many types of dependency injection are there, what is the default type of dependency injection is there. So all those things we need to cover, and all of them is a part of Spring Core itself. So first we are going to cover the Spring Core. It's going to take some time. 3 to 5 sessions will be there just for the Spring Core part. Over there we will also see how the why the object will be created, when it will be destroyed, right? Of the Java object we are already aware of this, right? When the variable will be created, when the object will be created and destroyed. Spring Boot works in a different manner because of the IOC container. So the beans, I mean, there will be Java object also, but the beans will be also Java object, but a special type of Java object, because it will be handled by, or their lifecycle will be handled by the IOC container or the application context that we are seeing over here, right? So that thing we'll cover in the next session. Let's